Hello! In today's video, we want to offer you a recap of 3 short films that you may not have seen yet. All of them share an unusual and bizarre approach to depicting many aspects of life. Perhaps some of you will find some new meanings in them. First story. It was an ordinary day in a hospital delivery room. A woman surrounded by doctors is pushing hard, about to give birth to a baby. The father prepares to capture his firstborn on camera, but instead of joy, a surprise awaits him. The doctors are also shocked by the newborn. How could they have missed this on the ultrasound images? They hand the baby to the mother. The boy is perfectly healthy, except instead of a head, a video camera rests on his shoulders. The wide lens that substitutes the baby's face involuntarily records everything he sees. Without much success, they try to understand how something like this is possible. Scientists study the amazing human, but their only guess is that it's a hereditary disease. The father questions his wife's fidelity, for there are no cameras in his family, and neither are there any in the woman's lineage. Did she cheat on him with a Polaroid? Or did she just watch too much TV? The man becomes furious, but eventually calms down. After all, it's his son. Before leaving the hospital, the doctors manage to discover something important. The boy's tape, which is inserted into his back, must be changed every day. Otherwise, his heart will stop and the boy will die. Thus, every second of his life will be recorded. The parents take the tape labeled Day 1 and go home. They've grown to love their son despite his disability and learn to live as a normal family. And his innate ability as a cameraman proved useful to the adults from his early years. They regularly replaced the tapes and kept them in a specially designated closet. The parents are happy that every single joyful moment will be caught on tape, but soon it becomes clear that it would take a whole human life to watch that many videos. Time passes, and soon it's time for the boy to start school. And of course, kids are not very fond of those who are so different from them. All the children stare at the boy, and the particularly cruel ones start picking on him. But the little bullies find themselves in trouble since every small detail of their deeds is recorded. The boy's mom watches the tape in the evening and becomes furious. The next day, she brings it to the principal's office, and the bullies get their due punishment. Having learned their lesson, they decide to harass another boy, this time for his chubbiness. But with a classmate who literally has a photographic memory, they can't get away unnoticed. The bullies are punished again. Over time, the guy even becomes somewhat popular at school and makes a lot of friends. But soon he realizes that he's not valued for who he is as a person. The only thing that matters to the others is his ability to shoot videos. No one has ever really been close to him. However, one girl did show interest. The teenagers start dating and want to take it to the next step. They get private with each other, but a problem arises.
And though he flourished in the chase, he never got past second base.
The girl doesn't want to be caught on tape and forbids him from filming her. She even calls the guy a pervert, even though he brought a lens cap with him and was willing to use it. The girl doesn't want to see him anymore and sends him away. Thus, his peculiarity becomes a curse again, and the guy grows depressed. He thinks that he will be alone forever. The boy is even banned from movie theaters and watching TV because of copyright infringement. One day he's walking down the street when suddenly he notices a strange girl. His camera has trouble focusing on her face. Although she looks normal to others, to him, her face is always blurred. They fall in love at first sight, or should I say, at first frame. Anyway, their match turns out to be perfect. There was always a mystery about her that intrigued the guy and made his heart beat faster. And she didn't mind undressing in front of him either, for even on the tape, she would remain anonymous. The young people lived happily until one day they were ambushed by a man in a limousine. He turned out to be a producer, looking to make a reality show out of the life of the unusual couple. What could be more real than the tapes the guy inadvertently records and stores? According to the contract, every second of the couple's relationship, even the most intimate moments, will be broadcast to the whole world. At first, the young people flatly refuse. But eventually, the producers manage to seduce them with lots of money and worldwide fame. That's exactly what happens. The show, about a boy with a camera for a face and a girl with a blurry face, becomes insanely popular. Fans and paparazzi follow the stars everywhere. The couple buys a big new house and a special cable channel is allocated for their show. On it, the guy's life is broadcast live, 24 hours a day. His life is going great, and he makes his beloved a proposal. This only increases the popularity of their show, and viewers stay glued to their screens to watch their lavish wedding. Employers are starting to report that people stop going to work in order not to miss the spectacle. More and more people around the world are becoming addicted to the screens, watching other people's lives unfold. The streets become empty. The whole world is turning into zombies that don't leave their couches. and each of them sees the broadcast only as a TV show, not even recognizing themselves on the screen. Only the guy and his wife realize what's going on. They are the only ones who continue living their lives. They go back to his childhood home, and the guy shows his wife the collection of his tapes. Endless shelves and stacks have replaced the furniture. He makes his way to the very first shelf, recalling his carefree youth. The guy comes back for his wife, but finds her in front of the TV. While he was away, she had turned on his channel and was hopelessly hooked as well. No matter what the husband does, nothing works. The TV won't turn off, and he doesn't manage to get her out of trance. And the harder he tries, the more entertaining the action on the screen becomes. Tears roll down the lens. He has become completely alone, and there's only one thing left for him to do. The guy finds a tape of the first day of his life and a TV with a video player. Then he fills up the bathtub and climbs into it. With his birth scene in front of the camera lens, he shows the world where it all began.
And as he put the tape inside, then he knew he truly died.
And now, he must put an end to it and save mankind from dying in front of their screens. The boy with the camera for a face cuts off the broadcast forever, dropping the TV into the water. The audience is shocked by this scene, and they come out of trance. They have now watched the final episode. People go outside and enjoy their lives again, just as they did before the show. They all quickly forget about what happened. Only the guy's wife sits alone in the park, heartbroken by his death. She sees a young father setting up his camera to take a family photo. No matter how much people want to forget about their vices, deep in their hearts they will all remember the story of the boy with the camera for a face. Second story. A young woman is sound asleep, dreaming of the ocean. Waves of dark water crashing down, the wind raging in the open sea. She wakes up and is horrified to find herself on the edge of a black abyss. Beneath her is nothing but a curved concrete wall, sloping downward at a nearly 45-degree angle. Her finger and forehead are covered in blood. Terrified by what she sees, the girl makes a clumsy movement. She immediately starts sliding down and presses herself back against the wall with all her might. The only thing keeping her from falling is her bent leg, upon which she rests her whole body. Her blood-soaked palms also provide a bit of life-saving friction. She doesn't have time to think about what's going on when suddenly a piercing sound comes out of the abyss. Her heart sinks from fright. The sound subsides, but immediately turns into a deafening screech, echoing through her eardrums. The poor woman can only scream in terror and helplessness. She can't believe what a terrible mess she's found herself in. But why? For what reason? How did she get here? There is no answer. The wind howling over her head. When the noise fades, the girl tries to take a look around. There's nothing around her that she can hold on to. The edge above her is several feet away. It's the only way out of the structure. If she has any will to live, she'd have to try and reach it. With her free leg and arm, she tries to free her bent leg. In its current position, the limb won't last long and will soon lose the ability to move altogether. But her attempt only leads to a loss of balance. The girl suddenly slides down another few feet. The hopeless situation becomes even worse. One wrong move, and she will definitely fall into the abyss. The girl examines her palms. They are all covered in dried blood. Her fingers are stuck together and can barely move. Despite the terrible pain, she peels them apart. She then wipes her palms on her jacket, one at a time, and blows on them. That way she'll have a little more grip on the surface. She definitely can't extend her leg, or she'll immediately kiss this world goodbye. Leaning on her arms, the girl does bring herself back to her original position. She would even be able to sleep in it. By the way, how long has she even been here? It doesn't matter. Now is clearly not the time to relax. It's necessary to keep looking for ways to get out, because inaction will lead to a long and painful death. The girl blows on her palms again, as she suddenly notices the marks of someone else's bloody hands on the wall opposite her. Her heart skips a beat. What the hell is that? A hallucination or somebody's cruel joke? Either way, the picture of her inevitable fate instills even more fear into her. The prisoner of the curved wall frantically pulls herself higher with a quick movement. At the same time, new bloody handprints appear on the opposite wall. From the abyss comes the distant cries of those who have perished in its depths. The girl drives away the panic and manages to win a few more inches for herself, but the next rushed attempt wipes out all her efforts again. The black void below beckons her into its embrace. No, she can't give up now. The girl takes control of her labored breathing and continues to pull herself higher. Looks like she's found the right position and the right amount of friction. This is a great success in the face of death, which sends shivers down her spine with its chilling breath. The nasty rattle of the abyss is no longer so terrifying because now she can do something against it, clinging to life until the end. But what can she do next? Her whole body aches, and the girl once again raises her palm, hoping for a second of relief. Suddenly, a single raindrop falls right on top of her. Not understanding whether she imagined it or not, the poor girl carefully examines her hand. Thunder announces that it was real. A new challenge immediately comes crashing down from the skies with a dense downpour. Trying to keep herself from thinking of what this could entail, the girl freezes. Her eyes are blank. Maybe all of this will simply pass. But the water runs down the bend, threatening to sweep her down into the abyss. Her arms can no longer hold her weight, and her body begins to slowly slide down the wet concrete. The exhausted muscles and ligaments are once again struck by terrible pain. The girl uses a single scream of anger and despair to quickly regain her composure. She remembers about the chain around her neck. The survivor quickly takes it off and wraps it around her palm. The links of the chain dig into her skin, and the tiny bumps on the dammed curved wall. Each one of them is a small climber's belay, saving her from imminent death. The main thing is to make sure that the muscles can withstand it. Her hand is still treacherously sliding. The downpour continues to rain down the two empty bins, descending into the black abyss. There is no screaming, no wailing, nothing but raindrops, smashing against the lifeless gray concrete. Third story. A beautiful summer day. A plump man and his wife go out for a picnic, bringing their little son, Constantine. They're merrily swinging the boy from their arms, as suddenly their blanket flies up into the sky. Plates, a basket of food, and the son's toys follow after it. Terrified, the woman realizes that she and Constantine are being lifted into the air as well. Something is clearly going on with gravity. Only the fat husband remains standing on the ground, trying to hold on to his flying family. He holds his son's hand tightly, but the boy can't hold on to his mom. The woman looks at her family one last time and disappears into the sky. The man presses Constantine against his chest, not believing his eyes. 20 years later, he suddenly wakes up from a dream. But it wasn't just a dream. That day, an American space shuttle crashed into the moon. The explosion had significantly changed the shape of the satellite and, as a consequence, the Earth's gravity. Now anything weighing less than 120 kilograms doesn't stay anchored to the planet. Gravity normalizers are running inside apartments so that objects and skinny people don't soar upwards. Tables and chairs are nailed to the floor. Constantine and his father are having a peaceful meal in the kitchen. The TV reminds them of the day of the disaster and announces a moment of silence. Suddenly, they hear a pop and all the plates and food soar to the ceiling. Skinny Constantine also flies up, despite his attempts to hold onto the table. His father complains about the fuses and hurries over to the normalizer. The man flips a switch, then warns his son that he's about to turn on gravity. Constantine grabs the chandelier and closes his eyes. The device turns on, and the household items rain down on the men's heads. The father places the fallen photo of his deceased wife back on the wall. He checks on his son, who is rubbing his sore shoulder. This is not his first fall. Afterwards, the father gets ready to go to work. Before going out, he gets on the scale to make sure that his weight is above the required mark. He puts a 20 kilos weight in his bag and leaves the house. Constantine cannot go outside as he is still too skinny. He's spent all these 20 years at home, making collages out of magazines and dreaming of a normal life. Through his binoculars, he watches people on the street. A military man is holding down a bag that is about to fly away. His father is talking to two female neighbors who are walking dogs that float over their heads. In the house across the street, a woman is throwing out her negligent husband's belongings. They all soar into the sky. The ladies with the dogs start gossiping about Constantine. They believe that it's high time the guy left the house, taking weights with him. At the very least, he can fly on a rope after his father. Apparently, his dad is very much against such experiments. At this moment, their dogs start barking, asking to go home. Meanwhile, Constantine puts up a beach umbrella at home and points a lamp at himself to pretend like he's at a resort. He usually wears a pillow under his clothes to appear thicker. He hears a car outside and points his binoculars out the window again. A young woman appears from the car, lets her hair down and waves to the guy. Constantine gets awfully embarrassed and jumps away from the window. He puts on his clothes along with the pillow and writes a greeting on a piece of paper. At the last moment, his shyness takes over, and he decides not to look outside. In the evening, the father returns home and his son greets him with a meal he's prepared. Dad notices he is wearing a woman's apron.
Женское. Унисекс.
Constantine replies that he simply cooks in it. His father gets angry and says it belonged to his mother. Constantine agrees to wash it and never touch the apron again. The next day, their routine continues. The father weighs himself before going out, and the son stays home with adult magazines. He dreams of the girl he saw yesterday. To meet her, he must get fat. Constantine notices an article in a magazine titled "Getting Fat in a Healthy Way," which promises to help one effectively achieve 120 kilograms. He takes the advice and orders a bunch of hamburgers that were advertised in the magazine. After eating, he steps on the scales and is delighted to see that they show more than 60 kilos. He hears the car horn again and writes his name on the paper. Tucking the pillows under his clothes, he dares to show himself in front of the girl, and she waves at him, smiling. Full of determination, the guy finishes his hamburgers, but gets sick to his stomach. The father gets a call at work informing him that his son has food poisoning. The doctors arrive in time and help Constantine to wash out his stomach. The father makes his son promise not to do it again. The next day, Constantine checks his weight and discovers that he has unfortunately lost 10 kilograms. He wraps himself head to toe in pillows and again sits down to write a message. But the girl doesn't notice him through the window. Constantine decides to go out to her outside instead. To do this, he straps himself to the refrigerator and drags it with him to the elevator. At that moment, his father returns home and catches him red-handed. He easily pushes the refrigerator with his son back into the apartment. To prevent this from happening again, the father takes all heavy objects out of their home. Constantine becomes desperate. What is he going to do now? In anger, he takes down his collages with dreams of a normal life from the wall and tears them to pieces. The father sees this, but doesn't say anything to his son. Instead, he goes to his room and starts doing something with white shoes. The man falls asleep right in the chair. He dreams of holding the hand of his now adult son, who is flying off into the sky. He wakes up abruptly. The gravity normalizer has gone out again, and all items are stuck to the ceiling, including a photo of his wife. But the shoes he made continue to rest on the table. The man tosses them up, but they, again, fall back to the ground. The experiment is successful. He returns the gravity back to normal, covering his head from the falling objects. The next day, Constantine arrives for breakfast. On the table, he sees the shoes made by his father.
Unisex.
Together, they test the invention. For the first time in his life, the boy stands comfortably on his own 2 feet without the normalizer. Constantine puts weights in his backpack in case of a malfunction and leaves the apartment. For reassurance, he still stuffs pillows under his suit. With trepidation, the guy gets into the elevator and goes down to the first floor. The father watches from the window as his son walks calmly down the street. Constantine approaches the building of the girl of his dreams, and she sees him from the balcony. Suddenly, the guy decides to turn off his shoes and take off his backpack. The father sees this and yells for his son to stop, but the locked windows prevent him from intervening. Constantine soars higher and higher, and the pillows fly from under his clothes. He closes his eyes, hoping for a miracle. Suddenly, someone's hands grab him by the shoulders. The girl catches the guy, and Constantine opens his eyes. He sees his crush in front of him. The young people smile at each other, and the father sighs with relief. He winks at the picture of his wife. A jagged moon is shining in the sky, and someone's switched-on radio is floating near the clouds. The radio host welcomes his guest, an American astronaut. The man apologizes for the fact that the world will never recover from the irreversible changes that occurred after his mission. All of these films use metaphor, a way of saying something indirectly with the help of images and figurative meaning. For example, in the story about the boy with the camera for a face, we can see how people are affected by the gaze of others and an excess of content. The girl's uncomfortable position in front of the abyss is a metaphor for any hopeless situation. And in the story about the father and son, you can see the parents' fear of letting their children go into a dangerous world where the old, clear-cut rules and laws can change at any moment. As always, the names of the movies can be found in the video description. In the meantime, let us know in the comments, what hard choices have you had to make to improve your life? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give this video a like so that more awesome stories come out as often as possible.